Let's now talk about osteoporosis. So, for us to understand osteoporosis, we need first to understand what happens normally in the body to be able to maintain calcium. So, you have got the thyroid gland and the parathyroid gland. These hormones are going to play an important role when it comes to normal calcium metabolism. So, what happens is that when you have got high calcium, the thyroid gland has got what we call the C cells. Those are going to produce calcitonin that is going to lower the levels of calcium in blood if someone had hypercalcemia. But when you have got hypocalcemia, low calcium in blood, what happens is that the parathyroid hormone is going to be produced by the parathyroid gland. And what this hormone is going to do, it has got effects mainly on the three tissues. So the parathyroid hormone is going to go to the kidney, to the bone, and it also has got an indirect action on the intestines. So starting what it does on the kidney, it is going to do two things. Number one, instead of the kidney excreting, removing calcium, what happens is that it is going to cause the reabsorption of calcium from blood. But at the same time, not really from blood but from urine, so there's a reabsorption of calcium from the urine into blood. At the same time, there's going to be excretion of phosphates. Why does that happen? Because phosphates, if they are found in blood, they bind to calcium, and when they bind to calcium, the body will still record any calcium that is bound to phosphate. The body won't record that, so it will take it as though there is no. And so phosphates are actually going to be one reason as to why there's going to be a reduction in plasma calcium, and so phosphates have to be excreted. So the kidney is going to promote the reabsorption of calcium and the excretion of phosphates. That is why there is phosphaturia when parathyroid hormone has been produced. That is number one mechanism. Number two mechanism, just on the kidney, is that the kidney is now going to produce what is known as 1 alpha hydroxylase. 1 alpha hydroxylase is going to convert calcidio to calcitriol, or 1,25 dihydroxycholecalciferol. Actually, 25 cholecalciferol, hydroxycholecalciferol to 1,25 dihydroxycholecalciferol. So the 1,25, which is also known as calcitriol, is the active form of vitamin D. So what this one is going to do is now going to go and stimulate the intestines, specifically the small intestines, to be able to reabsorb. To absorb, actually not to reabsorb, but you are getting the, if you've gotten food, you've eaten food, any calcium that is in that food now are going to absorb it. Reabsorption is happening in the kidney, but in the intestines, it is absorption. So again, we have increased calcium in the blood. Another effect is going to be on the bone. Now, bone is actually one way in which the body stores a lot of calcium. So what is going to happen is that the body is going to, the same parathyroid hormone that has been produced is going to stimulate the bone to start breaking. So there's going to be bone resorption. When the bone breaks, it's going to release calcium, and that calcium is now going to go into blood to maintain the normal levels. So again, what stimulates the production of 1 alpha hydroxylase by the kidney is low calcium, high parathyroid hormone, and low phosphate. These will produce active form of vitamin D so that you can absorb vitamin, uh, so that you can be able to absorb calcium from the blood. So you can see again here, it's actually, that's why it is recommended that we should at least spend some time in the sun, because the sun, from the rays of the sun, there's a production of 7 dehydrocholesterol from the skin, and then this 7 dehydrocholesterol is going to be converted to cholecalciferol, which is vitamin D3. And this vitamin D3, what happens is that it's now going to uh, going to the liver. There's going to be production of 25 dihydroxy vitamin D3, or 25 dihydroxy cholecalciferol, and then this one is now going to be converted in the kidney to 1,25. So you see the sun produces the 7 dehydrocholesterol, that's converted in the skin to cholecalciferol, which is vitamin D3. That vitamin D3 in the liver is converted to 25 dehydroxy cholecalciferol or calcidio, and this calcidio is converted to calcitriol in the kidney. You can see you also have some dietary intakes that can give us vitamin D3 like fish, meat, and some vitamin supplements. Now, how does osteoporosis happen? Osteoporosis, normally the rate at which bone is forming should be equal to the rate at which bone is being broken down. So bone formation is equal to bone resorption. But in osteoporosis, the bone resorption, the rate at which bone is being broken, is greater than the rate at which bone is being formed. And the reason for that might be because of the release of cytokines, maybe because of hormones like progesterone, activation of T cells, and also just low levels of plasma calcium. All those can stimulate the breakdown of bone. Now, what happens is this: parathyroid hormone itself, because you have got two cells that are involved in normal bone maintenance. The formation of bone is because of osteoblast. Blast, think of B for building, and then osteoclast, think of C for cutting. Those are involved in bone resorption. But what happens is that when the parathyroid hormone is produced, it does not go to the osteoclast. Instead, it's going to go to the osteoblasts. That's why agonists for parathyroid hormone, initially they are going to be used in the treatment of osteoporosis, because initially they are going to be building bone. Why? Because they work on the osteoblast that build bone. But in time, later on, what is going to happen is that the osteoblasts, when they are stimulated by the parathyroid hormone, they are now going to start releasing cytokines, or actually release what is known as the RANKL. The rank here is the receptor activator of nuclear factor kappa beta. So the R is for receptor, A for activator, and then the N is for nuclear, and then K is for kappa beta. So what happens is that rank L is now going to attach on the osteoclast. The attachment of rank L, this is the ligand, it will attach on the receptor, which is the rank, which is found on the osteoclast. Now osteoclasts have been stimulated. That's when there's going to be breaking down of bone. So this is the basic pathogenesis of osteoporosis. And what caused the activation of the osteoclast was what? The rank L, which had to bind on the rank. Where did the rank L come from? From the osteoblasts. What stimulated the production of rank L from the osteoblasts? Either low levels of calcium, parathyroid hormone, of course, which is produced when there's low levels of calcium, cytokines, T cells when they're activated, and also just the hormones like progesterone. So that is it on the pathogenesis of osteoporosis.